In your book, Justice, you talk about being a radical at Holy Cross, about being angry. Did you feel you were being treated unfairly?
At Holy Cross?
Yeah.
No, I was just mad at the world. I mean, it was 1968. I was angry. I mean, I didn't need a logical reason to be angry. I was angry about things that happened in the past. I was angry about things that were going to happen in the future. If you said good morning to me, I was angry. If you didn't say good morning, I was angry. So I was angry. And people sort of exploited that. And, I remember going to Harvard Square and in April 15, 1970, and we were pretty upset. I couldn't explain to myself why I just did that. All night we were rioting, and I got back home, got back to Holy Cross, and that's when I made a promise to God that I would never, that if He took anger out of my heart, I would never do that again. I would never let anger control my life. That was the morning of April 16, 1970, and I've attempted to live up to that.
What made you choose law?
It's kind of the Forrest Gump effect, How do I know? I was going to be a priest, and when you have a vocation, you think the belief is God is calling you, and that's the only dream I've ever had was to be a priest. I don't think it ever quite leaves you. And when I went off to Holy Cross, I was in a little bit of a tailspin. So I was looking for the next call. What am I called to do? So I decided that God would call me to go to Savannah and to help out. And one way to do that was to be in law. And so I went to law school to return to Savannah. So if you notice, I've never really worked in a law firm. I worked in a small firm in Savannah, Georgia in the summer of between second and third year law school because I wanted to return to Savannah. For reasons that I'm not going to get into, that job did not live up to my expectations. Now I've got a wife, today's my son's 45th birthday. So he was a little kid. And I had a wife and child and student loans. And now I need a job because I'm not going back to this situation that I don't think is right in Savannah. And I couldn't get a job in Savannah, Georgia. That's literally it. I couldn't get a job in Atlanta, Georgia. I couldn't get a job in Washington, D.C. I couldn't get a job in New York, and I couldn't get a job in L.A. I mean, I struck out every place I could, so I wound up in Jefferson City, Missouri. And because they didn't give me a job in Atlanta is the reason I wound up on the court. So it's their fault. Otherwise, I would be comfortably a tax lawyer or something.
Tell me about your years at Yale.
What about it?
Do you remember them?
Thanks, Fred. I think that was ageism.
No. That was a slight on Yale. That was all it was.
You can see I've always enjoyed my law clerks. And we enjoyed teaching together. We've been teaching together for 6 or 7 years at GW Law School, and we've had a total blast. It's a good thing they don't really pay us for it. Well, you're not going to get paid now because you're going to be adjunct like the rest of us. Yale was the perfect school for me. I've had my complaints for reasons after Yale, but Yale showed me where I needed to be. If I went back to Yale, I would go differently today. I wouldn't go with all these burdens of anger and bitterness and self-restrictions and constraint. I would spend a lot of time in the Sterling Library, which I loved being in. I would spend a lot of time doing the things that I like. I'd be like that young kid at KU. I just want to go to school. I just want to be a kid. I like chamber music. I'd go to that. I like debates. I like recitals. You know, I'm reading a book now on the Plantagenets. You know, Kagan was at Yale. I should have gone to those lectures for you know, whether it's Greek history or myth or wars, the Peloponnesian Wars or something. I loved debates. I loved just the philosophy. And it was all there. I could go to off-Broadway plays. I didn't go to anything because I was mad at the world. So I was self-restricted in this place that offered all these opportunities. The law school was good for me because it showed me how much work I needed to do what I wanted to do, how much I needed to learn. And the question I asked myself when I left was, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to dedicate yourself to learning all you need? And so I would have to say, in retrospect, it was small enough, it was academically challenging, it was interesting. The professors were almost, to a person, fair to me. It wasn't the best choice as far as being able to distinguish yourself because of the grading system. But I can't look back and offer any complaints. I know in the past I've not said pleasant things, but that had to do with some other reactions.